The great masters used to use an underpainting under their luminous oils. And many watercolor artists use an underpainting on their work as well. The old masters used some interesting colors in their Verdaccio layers and the grisaille layers that was covered up later, that kind of worked interesting if we look at the history of it. But with watercolor, glazing and layering works just the same way. Would you believe that this painting right here, the very first layers that were done underneath it, were these colors? Almost freaky, right? Pretty amazing. Well, this painting was also done with the same colors underneath as the first layer, and so was this one. Sometimes when we're working with watercolor paper, we start out with a white piece of paper with the pencil lines on it, and it almost looks like a paint by number. It's kind of daunting and overwhelming, actually. And because of this, I started using this technique about 20 years ago to kind of create a roadmap for myself so that I would be able to tell where my lightest lights were and where my darkest darks were. And then I layer other colors on top so that you don't see the purple and the blue anymore. But it creates the most luscious, wonderful, rich darks. There's another way to use an underpainting that's not quite so dramatic, that we're using just the same local colors as what the object will end up being, just kind of a lighter version. Some artists don't like to start with the goal posts of the darks and the lights. They like to progress the whole painting along all together at the same time, and so everything gets a little bit of color and builds and builds and builds. Also, we have the opportunity to use this same technique as the very beginning layer underneath a pouring. It works the same. This same wild purple is in that painting, but you don't see that wild purple anymore because the yellows and oranges and greens and blues have been layered on top of it. And what's left is just beautiful, rich, deep colors. Either way you want to go about it, we're going to be covering both processes. Going to go through step by step, excuse me, taking us through the whole thing. We're going to discuss why it works and practice how it works. Either way, taking my class on using an underpainting is going to be able to give you a roadmap to help guide you through your painting with your values, to create lush, wonderful darks, and to maybe get your painting to be something that someday they'll refer to as the new masters. See you in class.